This podcast is powered by the Mitt TV of Romeo, Michigan. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or personal use, look no further than the Mitt TV. Their in-studio podcast experience allows you to record perfect audio and capture amazing video. That's all right here at the Mitt TV podcast studio in Romeo, Michigan. Contact them now via email for a free consultation and to schedule a studio visit at mitt.tvpodcast@gmail.com. So Mike Fillbrook is with us today in our program, Getting to Know the Candidates. And we get a lot of interest in getting to know the candidates before people show up in November, to actually know who they're voting for, because most people are busy. They don't have time. They don't even know how many people are on the board. They don't know what the supervisor does. They don't know, unless they've got something going on with their children or their yards. So we're often asked around this time to do a little bit more in depth with the candidates, get to know them, who they are, how long they've been here, history, family, and all that. Because it's nice to know who the people really are behind, the title. And you've been our reigning supervisor, Bruce Township, and you're running again.
Correct.
For November 5th, 2024. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your history here.
My name is Mike Fillbrook. Obviously, a lot of people know me. I've lived here pretty much my whole life. We moved here in 1961, born and raised 28 Mile Run Campground. Lived in Romeo, a few different rental apartments and houses around Romeo. Raised my family up on 37 Mile Road. Been there 30 years now. My kids have been through the Romeo school system, but have a small farm that we operate up there along with doing the supervisor's job. So my wife also has a bakery there.
Yeah.
And it's a seasonal bakery. It's 3 months out of the year. When the fruit's in season, she makes everything from scratch from stuff that we grow on the farm, So, it's pretty simple. I'm just down-to-earth, a Romeo homeboy, I guess you could say, and care about the community and look forward to hopefully moving it forward in the next 4 years to do what's best for everybody in the community. So.
Right. You've always been a community guy. I mean, you're everywhere. We were talking right before you came in about, how exhausted you are. And I'm like, okay, where were we after a full day of, doing what we have to do? Where were we last night?
Yeah.
You were at the green space meeting.
Yeah.
You're everywhere. And, you've done a really nice job of, you are Bruce Township Supervisor, but you're also very much involved in Washington, very much involved with the Village of Romeo, and keeping the community together as a tri-community.
It is important. To be a community leader, you need to be out in the community.
Yeah.
And I belong to the Romeo Kiwanis Club, the Lions Club, the Goodfellows, Starkweather Chamber, not just the Macomb, Northern Macomb, but Southeastern Michigan Chamber, the Federzonia of Bruce Azedale, Michigan, from my mom's heritage.
Mm-hmm.
I am out in the community. I'm out there all the time, volunteering and helping. And I do listen to what the people have to say and what their wants are. And I think that's a big and an important part of being a leader in the community is to be out in the community. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people that are running for these positions. I've never seen them at any of these events. They don't really volunteer any of their time. And, no offense, but I think that that's wrong. I think, so.
People are really tired of, you get a politician and what you think is a public servant, coming in and, wanting to be in position of representing us, but then we never see them.
Right.
They don't know our community. You look at the homecoming parade the other night, and the Peach Festival and all the different things that happen in the Village of Romeo and the way people talk with one another. I've seen people, you walk out on the street, I've seen people stop you and, talk to you and ask you questions. Maybe sometimes they've got a complaint, but when do you sleep?
Well, I did have a debate with my,
oh, that's right.
Yeah, yesterday, with Paul.
Yeah.
Obviously I think it went, somewhat well. We both maintained our cool and
good.
minded our manners, I guess you could say. But he did make a comment that I was going to use this as my retirement job.
Mm-hmm.
And He's correct. I am pretty much in my retirement years. I mean, at a point in a time when my kids are gone, our house is paid for, and
Hmm.
but my retirement job is my job, and
Right.
I work. I mean, basically, I've been there 4 years. I've never taken a vacation from the township in 4 years.
Hmm.
I've only taken a few days off. I mean, a small handful of days off, and I'm pretty much on call 24/7.
Yeah.
I answer my phone, whether it be on a weekend, whether it be at nighttime, and talk to the people.
Yeah.
And I'm in on the weekends a lot of times for any kind of an issue that may come up. And there are things that do happen. There are emergencies in the community to which I want to be involved and I want to be notified of. And I do. If it's in the middle of the night, get out of my bed and I get dressed and I come to work.
Right.
So I think that's another thing is that it's easy
You're
to
full time.
full
Right.
time and easy to reach the whoever's in charge of the community leader. I give my phone number out to anyone, and
Hmm.
I'm more than likely, if you would like to post it on this, uh, you know,
Right.
interview.
Yeah. Give it to the people at the end of the
Right.
program.
So,
Yeah. You've always been a hands-on guy. I was talking to you before the program, and I said, when do you sleep? And you said, I've got to have my phone on me 24/7, even when I sleep, because fire department's going to call you. I don't know if people even know that,
right.
but
No,
you're the point man.
right. County could be anybody, resident could be sheriff's department.
Hmm.
I've gotten calls from everybody.
I've seen you out in the snow too.
Yeah.
I seen you in the winter. I pulled up next to you going, it's 8 o'clock. What are you doing? Oh, they got a problem with this pipe and it's busted. And I'm like, wow, you think other people handle that, but you're pretty hands-on.
There are a lot of people that can handle a lot of things, but my background has been basically building and maintaining infrastructure in a community since I was 17. Pretty much started,
Hmm.
laying sewer and water lines, went on to building highways and road. I was a fireman, a paramedic
Yep.
for 8 years too, so I know the community really well. And it's nice when I see something that I can do that I've done and I've got experience at doing in the past that I can take care of the issue and not have to worry about calling our DPW and
Right.
paying the extra tax dollars and saving in there.
Hmm.
I'm also I do carry our water license for the township, which is, it's a huge thing. You need to have a water operator license that's certified with the state of Michigan. I carry S1 license,
Hmm.
the highest license you can get from the state of Michigan, and it also gives me the ability to do a lot of our inspections on our water main installs and our taps, which does save from paying engineering on it, which
Right.
is going to obviously help, and it has helped quite a bit. So.
So that is why you're out there in the middle of winter
Yeah.
with your
I
truck.
like to be busy. I'm not a
Yeah.
suit and a tie kind of guy. Obviously, as you can see,
Yeah.
I don't
You never
speak
have
with
been.
don't speak with those big long sentences and long sentences and big words, whatever. But I'm a hands-on guy. You'll see me. I got my work boots on, and a pair of jeans or
Hmm.
khakis or something, and
Yep.
you will find me in the trenches. And even this past 4 years, I did install myself personally 4 more dry fire hydrants in our community. One up in Woodland Waters, we put one. Then one over on Peters Drive and up by the San Marino and Covered Manor subdivision.
Hmm.
And then the third one went in over to Cloverfield.
Yeah.
So, and I was installing that and pretty much out of pocket, out of my own, and down in the trenches. And I'm glad
Hmm.
because it benefits those neighbors and the people in that community, safety and well-being. If there is a fire, that there's a possibility of maybe saving life and property.
Right.
But it's all part of being, versatile in
Right.
everything I do. I can definitely say I'm not really good with computers,
Hmm.
but I think that's more of a clerical job.
Did you get rid of that flip phone yet?
I just it was it when it was a number, it was a 3 phone, and now they
No.
went to 4, so they automatically shut it off on me. So yeah, but,
And what is it at 15 now?
right,
High 15?
yeah, right,
But you've always been a hands-on guy. I mean, I remember you helping the farmers, you know, pour cement floors, and it seems like every time there's something going on, you're
sure,
there to help.
yeah,
I've seen you at the cemeteries. I mean, you guys have done an extraordinary job with the cemeteries in Bruce Township.
yeah,
There's been a lot of work done, and some people say, well, why put in so much into cemeteries? Well, that's our history. We've got some, I don't know, 1800s
oh yeah,
gravestones out there,
yeah,
and you were a big part of that when the whole community came together when we had the vandalization of
right,
the cemetery, and our high school kids came out and the fire department came out, everybody came out. It was
Right.
like a big barbecue,
Yeah.
and you're always there.
I I think it's really important. I mean, we got our families, our loved ones are buried out there. I mean, I got
Hmm.
some of my best friends' families are out there,
Yeah.
and I've got some of my best friends that are being buried out there.
Yeah.
Obviously, you and I are not
We're
getting
getting
younger.
old.
I know, growing up together and stuff, we know that. But
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, it's not just that part, but it's the personal part about it, but also the pride in doing, you know,
Hmm.
taking pride in what you do.
Right.
I did start taking care of the cemeteries for the first 2 years when I
Hmm.
became supervisor. Frank DiGiorgio was kind enough to take that over and
Yeah.
take on the responsibility. He's done twice, or amazing things with our
He,
cemeteries,
he talked about that in his interview
right?
too.
But they did get to the point of being run
Hmm.
down, and unfortunately, they shouldn't have been that way in the first place.
Right.
So, but we're bringing them back around, and obviously, it's a self-funded. It's not
Right.
tax dollars.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a little bit of time, but hey, didn't get that way overnight. We're not going to fix it overnight, but we made big
Right.
strides.
Right. Yeah. And it gives you a good feeling when you drive past them and they look good. They look like historic structures, not run down, grass everywhere, broken
Sure.
stones. It makes you not feel good about where you are,
Right.
because someday you're going to be in one of those,
I,
and you hope somebody takes care of them.
yeah, I know. I mean, I myself personally, my family's at Mount Vernon in
Hmm.
Washington, which is a great down to earth little
Yeah.
hometown cemetery. Got my whole family buried there. I do have my plot there and my
Hmm.
wife's plot next door to me, but I'm with my family and made sure we
Yeah.
were kind of all together. But yeah, I mean, it is.
Yeah.
So I do take the pride in it because, again, it's going to be my home eventually in the future. So,
Come on, let's not
right,
talk about that.
right.
I hope you make it a long time. But you've been working really hard in the last 4 years. I mean, you took on a huge problem. I mean, we were in dire straits in Bruce Township. The board was a mess. It was just a nightmare. What are you most proud of what you've done? And I know there's several, but give me the two most proud projects that you've had in
Um,
those 4 years.
I guess maybe the two proudest projects. I mean, there's so many issues that we were given and we were handed down. I
Hmm.
mean, I just one of them mainly was they couldn't account for 2.1 million gallons of water every quarter that
Yeah.
they were paying to Great Lakes Water. So with background and experience again and what I did, it's like, how can you not account for 2.1 million gallons of water? Well, they're putting a new subdivision over there, Cloverfield subdivision, which
Hmm.
everybody's aware of. It's a great little subdivision. They were installing meters, and the people were only paying $1 or $1.50 for every 3 months of water usage.
Hmm.
Why that raised a red flag there alone. So it took a little bit of time, but it's like finally I figured out that if all you got to do is move the decimal point over one on their meter reads, and it's going to be, it's going to be everything will be normal. So what ended up happening is when they were programmed when they put them in there, they were programmed to the decimal point needed to be moved over. So for every 750 gallons of water that somebody used,
Hmm.
basically, they only were charged 7.5 gallons. So it's for every 100 cubic feet of water that they used, they only paid for one cubic foot. So that was a huge thing that
Wow.
really,
Yeah.
when you got a development like that going on with residential development. And another one was our big, large water use, Blue Water Trucking.
Hmm.
Great company, supports our community like you wouldn't believe.
Yep.
But they can use 50,000 gallons a day in the summer months when they're filling swimming pools, and
Right.
they were basically paying for a third of it. And it's like this
Hmm.
isn't, their meter. There was an issue there, so I did schedule the DPW to come out. We did open up the meter, and it was clogged with a bunch of debris, and the debris is from when we. It's a plastic pipe, so when there's a new tap
Hmm.
goes in, it gives you those little swirlies when they drill a new tap in there. And the fan, there's just a fan in there that turns around when the water goes through it, and that's kind of how we get our water read.
Hmm.
So that wasn't getting an accurate read there, so we were losing a lot of revenue there. But just things along that line. People were allowed to use new construction was coming in. They were just taking water out of our hydrants without a hydrant
Hmm.
meter in place, and now we got it all under control. And sure, we still have a deficit that we incurred
Right.
because we had a $550,000 deficit when we came into the community, but to know about the meters not reading correctly and know that there's a problem for this going on for 2 to 3 years and not doing anything about it again, I don't understand that.
Hmm.
So hit the ground running, took care of that one issue right away. Another issue, which I'm not going to take all the uh,
It's your time.
credit for. Well, I mean, that OPEG and that
Yeah.
retirement health care that everybody seems to be talking about. Again, $9.5 million deficit that we were handed from basically our previous administrations. It was 0% funded. State of Michigan was pretty much knocking on the door. I've seen the letters that came through to the old clerk that you guys, the state's going to come in and intervene because you guys haven't figured it out. They've been asked long enough to take care of it. The state would have came in there, they would have eliminated health care completely.
Yeah.
The firemen would never have gotten that. And then they would have raised taxes in order to take care of the deficit. So, yeah, our administration came in, we put our heads together, and basically we did come up with a strategy program where we take $25,000 out of three of our funds, which is our fire, our ALS, and our general fund, and we put $75,000 into a MERS account every year. So in the 4 years, we went from 0% funded with putting $75,000 a year into a MERS account. Now we're at 9% funded, which the state would like to see 40% funded, but we're on our way there. But we need more years. But if you look at the amortization chart, the state of Michigan is no longer knocking on our door. They're very happy that we have a program in place, and we have 30 years we're going to be in the black and everybody's happy.
Right.
But it's going to take a little bit of time. I mean, again, this is
Yeah.
something that it was a complete mess,
Yeah.
And so
So you had a debate last night. What was one of the issues that you were able to address that, possibly there's rumors out there or there's misinformation that, you want to clear up?
So my opponent seemed to. I mean, I don't want to say, but there's kind of a smear campaign going on. I don't want to call him, or misleading people, or maybe even just call him a liar at all like that. But it seems to be that there's a lot of misleading information that we're going to turn our Van Dyke corridor into Shelby Township, that we're going to commercialize everything. And it's based on no documentation. There's no information that even leads to that. Now, we have had a couple of rezoning requests for the Van Dyke properties, which whoever owns that property has that right to come in, pay for $2,000 for an application fee, go in front of the planning commission and plead their case and why they want to rezone it. And, then the planning commission kind of does the review and goes through all the work, and then it goes to the board for a recommendation for denial or approval. And then the board votes on it. So we've had two of these rezoning changes, and again, we legally have to listen to them. We can't say, no, we're not going to listen to you. And both of them have been denied. I mean, there's been no rezoning on Van Dyke. So this whole thing about turning Van Dyke into Shelby, I don't even know how you can even go on something like that when there's not even been one rezoning, and when the two rezoning requests that we've had have been both denied. And it's really sad, because you mentioned it earlier, that the people that are sitting at home should elect the people that run their community so they don't have to worry about it, to do what's best for everybody. When you start rumors like this, and people are got to worry about what's going to happen, am I going to wake up tomorrow morning, there's going to be a steam shovel in my backyard?
Right.
That is completely wrong. If you're a leader, you should not be misleading the people in this community to make them feel that they need to be threatened and need to be paying attention. If you're a good leader, you don't want people to worry about it. You want to be able to do what's best for them. And I don't care if you got a D or an R after your name. You're here to do a job. It doesn't matter what it is. Do it to the best. And like I said, take some pride in your work. Let the people sit at home, enjoy their barbecues, and relax, and not have to worry about what's going on. But, things just
there's enough fears out in the world today that people have to deal with, nationally and at home. And that is what you want from somebody that you elect. You want that ease. You want to take that breath. You don't want to worry about things that are affecting you around your home.
Right.
You want to watch Netflix, have dinner, go to bed, and go to work the next day.
Yeah.
And it, especially in a small town, even though Bruce is so rural, we still have that small town environment, and rumors start very quickly. Fear spreads very quickly, as we see, everywhere. And that's one thing that people say to me all the time. I just don't want to be fearful, and I don't want to listen to the media, with all of this lies to make me fearful, to move me to do something.
Right.
And it's un-American.
So
it isn't.
That's why I want people to know that they need to that they can call me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear from the people, and there are people in this community that do call me. Hey, Mike, what's going on?
Yeah.
And I'll tell them exactly what's going on. There's no reason not to tell them exactly what's going on, but a lot of them feel relieved after they call me because they do hear rumors.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, again, it's based on speculation and hearsay when I can show them what's actually happened by factual information and
Right.
documentation. But I want people to, if they have some worries or some concerns, and I can only do so much, but if there are things that they're worried about, I want them to call me and I
Right.
can clarify any kind of, misinformation that they might have. And but this whole thing about turning the town, the residents in this township into this panic is just
Yeah.
it's not a leader.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
I don't care what you're
Yeah,
what
that's scary.
platform. Yeah.
So what if in the 4 years that you have been a supervisor and have accomplished all of this, you are going to be hopefully getting back into that position for the next 4 years. What do you want to accomplish in the next 4 years? You want to finish a project, start a project? You have anything in mind that you'd really like to get done?
Well, there's so much.
Yeah.
There really is. The building. Our building alone. When we came in, the roof was leaking, the gutters were hanging off the building,
Mm-hmm.
it just falling apart. The parking lot was shot. We've done a lot of maintenance on top of moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
I know our residents. We do have a higher water rate again and a sewer rate. So I'd like to try to work things out with the Village of Romeo. I did apply for a $2.2 million grant from the state of Michigan. It was a federal grant, actually, to possibly increase our water district to try to spread the water cost out
Mm-hmm.
to more people and get it into places like our mobile home district, which they have the most terriblest water
Yeah.
over there at
Yeah.
Springbrook.
Yeah.
And that way, we can spread the cost of the water out by doing it and getting the grant, which I did get, like I said, for $2 million. We're going through the process of, federal grants take forever to try to get all the
Mm-hmm.
documentation and try to get the rates lowered. And I think that's the most important because I'm the same way. I basically, every dime counts, live paycheck to paycheck a lot of times. And
Yeah.
I know what it's like to get those monthly bills.
Yeah.
And I want to do what I can. So I do want to continue moving. Now that we've eliminated the debt and we've got it under control, now it's a matter of, bringing it into the point to where it's, affordable
Mm-hmm.
and equitable for everybody to, use the services. So that's
That's important.
really important.
Yeah.
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 So,
I know you're always strongly involved with the farmers. And, Bruce Township is full of farmers and they are our life force. And there's a lot of fears out there in our community because we have so many, well, we have so many friends that are farmers.
yep.
I hear their fears, and the community is always worried about the health of our farmers. Are they doing okay?
So farmers, they constantly we're struggling, I'm a small farmer myself.
Yeah.
You got to always worry about the weather, the wind, the rain, the hail, the
A lot of
snow,
rain this
the
year.
drought. Now
Yeah.
we're dealing with it, too much rain earlier on.
Yeah.
It's a tough job, and it's really hard because these farmers, we got second, third generation of farmer that's,
Yeah.
we got these developers because Bruce Township is a great community. They're knocking on their door daily.
Mm-hmm.
It's like just sign under that, dotted line. You're going to be a
Yeah.
millionaire tomorrow.
Right.
You ain't got nothing to worry about. These farmers, they got their tractors are stuck out in the muddy field and they lost their crop and,
Mm-hmm.
they got some kind of, disease that's coming through there. And
Yep.
it's like, it doesn't take too many of them days when they got tears in their eyes and they said, I'm done,
Yeah.
and then not only that, you get a lot of people that move out to this community that like the rural atmosphere,
Mm-hmm.
but then they call me and it's like the smell is so bad because they're spreading manure on the
Yeah.
fields. The combine went down the road and I got delayed and I
I'm
went
slow
by and
to
I
work.
flipped them off.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, you guys are hypocrites.
Mm-hmm.
You want everything to be, rural and everything else, but you don't want to deal with the farming and the industry. And these guys have it bad enough,
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's definitely a tough business, and they work very hard for the money that they make.
Yeah.
So just
For the pennies they make.
the pennies that they make.
Yeah.
So
And it's a good, offer when these developers come in and talk to the families because they are tired and they want to retire. And a lot of them don't have the generational, aspect that our farmers, in the past have had, where the son or daughter is going to take over the farm. In a lot of cases, they've gone to college. They don't want to work
No,
the farm.
exactly.
So a lot of them are just hanging in there for the lifestyle, and to continue to produce food for us.
Yeah.
And we really need to support them.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even the new thing is a lot of it's the agritourism, and
Mm-hmm.
we have some agritourism and things that are going on a little bit in our community, and they've got smaller pieces of land, but the same thing. I mean, if you want to just use the Lavender Farm up on
Yeah.
Boardman Road, it's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
You cannot sustain paying property taxes,
Yeah.
payroll, and everything else by growing and selling lavender.
Yeah.
You just can't. No farm can actually sustain on what they do. I mean, they have. I mean, if you look
They've
at
got to do
Blake's or
something
Westview,
else.
it's
Oh,
all
yeah.
diversification. It really is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If we don't allow them to diversify, and there is a thing through Emmenard, and it's 50% of what you actually grow or you produce on your farm, you
Mm-hmm.
need to sell in order to stay under the Right to Farm Act and Emmenard's ruling. But I get complaints like, how can he sell sheds? Isn't that a commercial?
Yeah.
If he doesn't sell the sheds and he doesn't try to diversify a little bit, he's going to just close up and it's not going to be there no more.
Yeah.
He's trying to do the best he can.
He's
It's
been
just one
struggling.
example. We got
Yeah.
cold frame farms,
Yeah.
all of them. I mean, my little farm we got, my wife
Mm-hmm.
has to diversify. We can't make it on growing fruit. She sells pies seasonal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just things along that line. It's just like give them a little bit of a break. Stop complaining.
Mm-hmm.
We got a nice little thing.
Try to help small business.
But we also at the same we have restrictions. We've
Mm-hmm.
met with the Lavender Farm. We met and made I guess an agreement that no more than 15
Concessions.
no
Yeah.
more than 15 barns. So and he's agreed on that. So
Mm-hmm.
and then I've also had MDARD go out there, Michigan Department of Agricultural and Rural Development, because I did receive a lot of, and they're the ones, they kind of trump us as far as
Mm-hmm.
state regulations and what's the Right to Farm Act. And they said, basically, and I got a letter, so now I can send a letter that what he's doing out there. And he's also doing those little venues where you can
Right.
come out and
Yes,
have food
dinner
catered and stuff.
Yeah.
That he is 100% in compliance with the state of Michigan. And they told me, it's like, Mike, if you want to fight us, you can go ahead and fight us. Like, there have been a lot of communities that have fought us that, that what he's doing is not true. But you're going to lose when it comes to court.
Yeah.
But he is doing what he is allowed to do according to our MDAR, Michigan Department of Agricultural and Rural Development statutes or
And it
rulings.
brings a lot of happiness around here. I mean, everybody loves the lavender farm, and people go out there, they put their blankets down, and
Yeah.
they have a wonderful evening. Who
Sure.
can complain about that?
Exactly. But we have smaller farms like that
Yeah.
are kind of going on, they're trying to do the
Trying
same
to-
thing. They're trying to grow things, and they want it. A lot of people with the chickens and selling eggs and which is great.
Yeah.
But we have a rural community. We want people to have chickens. We want to be able to go buy fresh eggs from the
Yeah.
somebody's
The
mailbox.
cooler sitting by the mailbox
Right.
with the slot where you put your $2 in.
How much?
I love that.
How much rural can you get?
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I go home with my fresh eggs, and the guy trusts me to put my $2 in there and take a dozen of eggs.
So I am very supportive of the farmers.
Yeah.
And if you come to me and you want to complain about the farmers, I mean, just keep in mind that these guys are working hard and they're trying to keep, our community rural at the same time. And if the
Yeah.
farm's gone,
We're
what's
gone.
gonna
Yeah.
what's gonna happen? Right?
Yeah. The federal government's after them. The same thing. They like to buy up farm property too, farmland. So, we've got to support them. So is there any other aspect of your job that doesn't annoy you more than the actual meetings? Because I watch them all.
Yeah.
I watch ones that I can see or hear.
I
But,
mean, yeah.
I mean, how are you, dealing with your, conflict resolution? When you have to deal with the board and you all have to make a vote and there's a lot of conflict or a lot of friction, how do you handle that? I mean, I see you at the table, your hair's sticking up, you're like, oh, you can pull what hair I have left out of my
Yeah,
head,
I know. Yeah.
and how do you deal with that?
It's tough. I mean,
Are you getting better at it?
I am. I am getting a lot better. I used to just have no patience.
Yeah.
before. So I've learned. I've gotten a lot more patience in the past 4 years. Not just dealing with the board meetings, with everything else in general.
Right. Because a lot of times it's just personal conflicts.
Right. Well, yeah. So a lot of people don't realize that. They say, "Why don't you resolve these problems, before the meeting?" And they don't realize that we really can't communicate when we because there is an Open Meetings Act. We
Mhm.
can't violate that through the state of Michigan, where there's three of us in the room talking about an issue. That's basically a quorum, and we can't make decisions. So our meetings and when we need to discuss these things are basically at our board meetings.
Yeah.
And a lot of people come there and it's like they don't realize that we're having a discussion. And sometimes it is heated and we do argue because we do have a difference of opinions. But at the same time, we all care about the community. We're trying to do what's best for everybody.
You're all passionate about your positions.
The passion is what
Yeah.
gets in the way.
Yeah.
And we do care what decisions we're making that, well, I don't believe you are making the right decision and, well, I'm right and you're wrong kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think that we have moved the township way farther than it used to be 4 years ago in the right direction.
Oh, yeah.
Continue to move it forward. Even though we have those discrepancies and those arguments at the board level,
Mm-hmm.
we resolve them and we move on. And we get together and it's like the next day, almost like sometimes
Yeah.
nothing even happened.
Yeah.
But it's all part of a healthy,
Mhm.
I think, a healthy board.
A
I
healthy
mean,
board.
I know that in previous administrations, there was a lot of
People were real tired of it,
and they weren't getting nothing
Right.
done again. Like as you've seen, and we all know the deficits that we
Right.
inherited, and
Yeah.
everything else. So
And most people, if they're going to drag their butts to the meeting, take their dinner time out, they're usually coming there to get something resolved,
correct.
or vote for something or support something, and they're like, okay, when are we going to get to the real stuff that I came here for?
Right.
And I think you guys have done a good job with that, with everything that you had to address.
Yeah, we'll move it. We have to. We'll move agenda items forward.
Mm-hmm.
And here, some of those people, we have a large group of people in the audience. Yeah, we'll
Mhm.
move them forward so that we can kind of clear the room a little bit. And they don't have to listen to us
Right.
bicker and fight back and
Yeah.
forth at the same time. But no, yeah, it's important.
So if you were to talk to your voters that are going to be going to the polls on November 5th, what would you tell them? Why should they vote for you again for 4 more years?
Ruth, I mean, over the last 4 years, our statistics, we just had our auditor's report.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was me and I was sitting at home, we increased our general fund. We went from this big deficit to a township that is strong and moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Our auditors just said that our general fund, we increased it by 42%. We put $580,000 into our fund balance. We got $2.5 million sitting unrestricted in an account. We can run a township for a year and a half, 2 years now without taking in one tax dollar.
Mm-hmm.
We are doing exactly what we need to do.
There's something.
And we're going to make it better and better every year. And there's not going to be in the backs of the taxpayers to increase taxes or anything. We're just going to keep rolling along and
Mm-hmm.
dedicate ourselves and keep working as hard as we have been. So
You
get
guys
out of
have
what,
done a lot of work in 4 years.
yeah. So, but that's all. If you want things to continue to move forward the way they are, I'm your guy. A hard worker, dedicated to the job. And if you want to go back to what it was 4 years ago, my Paul was, not say it,
Yeah.
he was on the board, and
Right.
so
Yeah. Yep.
right. But no, that would be what I'm saying is I love the community,
Mm-hmm.
love to hear what everybody's got to say, and please don't hesitate to give me a call.
And if they
Working
want
with
to
it.
reach out to you, where do they contact you and how?
At the township office,
Mm-hmm.
you can come and give me the township office. My township work number, and I got a cell phone. It's 586-318-2823. Look forward to talking to.
It's always in your hip pocket.
Yeah, it's always in the pocket. It's over here going off as
I
we
know.
speak. And I'm sitting here worried because is it like something I need to answer the phone for? Because
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
Well, we're about out of time anyway, so you can get back to work. And we thank you so much for coming and talking to us about. It's always enjoyable to talk to you because you know so much about what's going on in this community.
Thanks.
So
It's always a pleasure. And thanks for all you do for our community as well. So
thank you.
thank you.
And you can watch this on our Facebook page and on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, and we'll be giving the link to you to also, share.
Sounds really
All
good.
right. Thanks,
Okay.
Mike.
Thank you. Okay.